Hi, Sean Durham here. It's been a long time since I made a video here on YouTube, but I really want to do it, so I'm at it again. Here we are. So today I thought I'd speak a bit about my street photography and how it might help you out to sort of just define what I do and why I do it, and how that might help people to think about their own street photography. Biggest things about photography generally is that you're a person who has empathy for your surroundings. That means you feel it, you feel the world around you. For a street photographer, that's a big thing. It's really important that you can go out on the street and you can just stand somewhere on a street corner and enjoy the flow and the ebb and flow of the traffic on the street. That is the people, the foot traffic. Street photography means that you're going to be looking around, waiting, and my opinion, based on my experience of street photography, is there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days, and you've got to take the rough with the smooth. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about street photography. I try and keep it short, show you a couple of photos of mine that I've recently done, and maybe a couple of old ones as well, and just sort of talk you through it a little bit. But one of the main things about what does it take to be a street photographer? I think really street photography is a great place for anybody who's got a camera and is thinking about how can I get better at photography, is to get out into street photography and start practicing your chops. Because what you're doing is you're putting yourself up against quite a tough situation. You've got to be a person who loves the world, loves things around you, takes enormous interest in people and life around you. You don't really have to live in a big city. You just got to live in a place where lots of other people live, so that you've got the flow of traffic, foot traffic on the street, that you can find yourself a street corner somewhere, hang out, walk a little bit, stop, start. I do this, I walk through the city. Looking for the best spots, and sometimes I pass through places, never stop, and then one day I stop there and just hang out for 20 minutes, just looking around, taking one or two shots. And very often at first they're very much like test shots. I look and see what sort of results I've got, and then it's from taking the shot, then having a look, that I suddenly realise the potential that's right in front of me. Because, you know, when we're taking a shot, we're looking for framing. We're looking for interesting flows of people, or people doing stuff. And mostly when you look around on the streets, you see people are, their actions are very related to what the environment is. So if you're in a shopping area, people are going to be coming and going in and out of shops. They're going to be in and out of doorways all the time. The weather has an enormous effect on it. Doesn't matter if it's raining, doesn't matter if it's freezing bloody cold in the middle of January. There's definitely something out there for you to find. And so on a nice sunny day and in the middle of summer, of course, we get that beautiful effect of, one, it's nice to be outside. Two, you've got lots of lovely shadows that create geometrical shapes all over the place. And you've got these buildings which are flashing light and shadow everywhere. And then you've got the people. And it's up to you how you put the people into your compositions. They don't have to be street portraits, which personally is something I bloody hate, is, you know, beginner street photographers who think that it's all about a street portrait. Anybody came up and shoved a camera right in my face and wanted to get a head and shoulders shot of me, I'd really stop and ask them about it. If a street photographer is, I don't know, 5-10 feet away from me and he points the camera at me and takes a shot, I don't mind. Go ahead. Make my day, take my shot, find me interesting. There's nothing wrong with it, and that's why I do it. The other thing about street photography is that if you're out there, and you know, I read a lot about it online and in books, and I do find that there's a lot of beginners or people who've been at it for several years always admit they're a bit frightened about getting close. And we know that getting close is great when you've got a decent camera, whatever it is, but to get up close doesn't mean to be in people's faces. It does mean just be in their proximity and take the shot. And you can do it from waist height, you can do it holding the camera up to your face. First, get over the fear that people are going to attack you or do something or verbally tell you off because you pointed a camera at them. And the way to get over that fear is just one way. Point the camera at them and take the shot. The worst they can do is look at you with a scowl, take another shot if they do that. you might be able to keep it. Secondly, they might speak to you and say, don't do that. But generally speaking, you'll find that if you push it a little bit, as in yourself, and you don't bother people, you'll find that people are too busy. They're getting on with their own lives. People think about themselves. They're out and about with an intention, and it might be just a simple intention of a Sunday walk. It might be a simple intention of going shopping. Secondly, thinking about places, you know. I love the flow of foot traffic, and I'm always looking at sort of large flows of people at crossroads or at traffic lights where they're waiting for the red light to turn green, and it builds up. In my city, it's very busy, especially in central places. So I get down there with a camera and I hang out and I wait until a ton of people pile up at the traffic lights. That's like a gaggle of geese waiting for the off. As soon as it goes green, they all start walking across. And then what you get is 2 rows of people passing by. And I sit there or stand there and I wait until I see an interesting constellation of people sort of going into each other and creating this flow which is going contra to each other. And the point is quite often I'm looking for colour. Lots of people wear colourful clothes. The autumn is here. People are putting jackets and hats on. That's brilliant because people are dressed up more than they would be in summer. Well, unfortunately, you get the fantastic light, but secondly, you get loads of people about. They're all the same. They're all in jeans, trainers and t-shirt. And occasionally you see the hardcore hat wearers who still wear their hat in the middle of summer, even though it's hot. So when it comes down to photographing people and finding places to stop, hang out and wait with your camera, I suggest you try different things like train stations, bus stations. People are doing different things there and they're carrying big bags, which is interesting composition. Or go to a shopping centre and just bear in mind everybody's going in and out of shops. They're busy shopping. You know, and I like to think that it's in a place like a shopping area, people are looking for stuff and not finding it in the shop, so they're popping in and out of different shops. The thing about that is that you might actually see a few facial expressions of people who are, a bit disappointed about not finding what they're looking for. If you keep your eye out, and it is a thing of street photography, is to be able to hang out and wait, maybe for a good hour in one position the whole time, and you will get a couple of good shots. I do like to walk, so I do a lot of walking, but then I've taught myself you've got to stop, wait, because whatever it is you're looking for, it's going to happen if you wait. The other thing to watch out for is social signals regarding fear of taking photos of people and getting up too close. Be aware, be empathetic and think about it, that you can see the social signals that people are out, they're private, they're having a conversation. It might well be a very serious conversation they're having. Don't mix into it with your camera because, it's not hard to see that some people are not in the mood, and just stay clear of them. But to be truthful, if you're in the centre of the city, you're probably around the monuments of tourism, etc. And you might find that most people are sort of happy to do this and that. Apart from the idea of going out and thinking of places to take shots, be very aware of the light, and it's constantly changing. Even in high summer, it's constantly changing. And so really work on manual, and that way you can always adjust to the light very quickly. I mean, I never got it with the automatic, putting it on P. I don't get it. People do that. They get their shots, and their shots are the same all of the time. They're the same levels of colour, the same levels of light and darkness. I don't like that. I want my shots to be like I want them. And if I want dark shots, but beautiful shots, I'll take dark shots, I love the old 17th and 18th century painters and later. And you can learn an awful lot from them by looking at their work. There's plenty of access there online to look at artists' work, painters that is, and you get some brilliant ideas about how to frame an idea on the street. You look at the French painters, the Impressionists, and how they actually depicted people walking around in society. Just a little point there. You think about it, you've got painters from the past, and you look, they've done paintings of train stations, and you think, well, why did they do that? There's all that, it's the steam train, and you've got to think at the time when they did it, which may have been the turn of the 20th century, it was all still new technology, and so it was well worth it for them to get down there and take these, or rather paint these paintings of trains coming in and steam rolling along the platform. You think how wonderful that is. But also, it turned out that they're great paintings. So, you know, if you get the opportunity, I don't think you get the opportunity to see a steam train coming into your local station, but train stations are very interesting places because people are coming and going, people are in a hurry, people are stressed. You're going to get a lot of facial expressions. You get people hanging out, waiting for people to arrive. You get all types of people. So you get a lot of people sitting, staring into space. So you get a bit of the Edward Hopper look in people sitting on a chair somewhere and they're just bored out their brains. And it might be a shock for you. It's thinking about your environment. So you're looking at the light, you're looking at the weather, you're looking at various aspects, you're looking at how the light is reflecting off of buildings. If you're inside in a big shopping mall or something like that, think about how the light reflects off the textures of artificial materials like aluminium or siding or painted surfaces, etc. The other thing is that makes me think, you know, shopping mall, get back out on the street, and if you can find really cool cafes which are a little bit based on tradition, and find those tables outside on the terrace with the checkered tablecloth and a couple of salt cellars and pepper cellar there. They make great shots, you know, and most people are too busy talking to each other for them to notice that you're there, maybe about 10 feet away, and you just like clip, clip, you've just taken 2 great shots. Just don't be afraid. Street photography is all about putting yourself into a situation where you don't know what you could expect. And so you learn not to expect much, but you're looking and you're totally aware of your environment and you're buzzing inside. The thing is that you could spend 4 or 5 hours on the street or 2 hours on the street, and the chances are, if you're very aware, you'll see a little gem or two occur on the street. You'll see a beautiful combination of clothing colour, you might be looking at colour, or you might see structures that are throwing beautiful shadows and people walking in and out of those shadows wearing interesting clothing, or the cut of their clothing can actually match in with the geometric shapes of shadows. The beautiful sort of pale face in the bright sunshine and the dark clothes. You know, this can create wonderful photos. Now, the real point is, you know, if you're only beginning to practice street photography, it is really all about that. It's practice makes perfect. And while you're there, you've got to be very aware. That also means of your own actions. Be aware of what is it you're doing? What do you look for? What makes you feel good about watching people? That's really the whole thing, is to be able to be a person who enjoys being out there on the street, watching all types of people out and about in the city. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it's useful to you. You know, I hope to give a few tips. All I can do is give you tips about what I do. And I think, you know, over the years, I've become more and more successful at street photography. The way I look at it, and this is a key point, is it's art. It's the fine art of street photography. But we are doing something that I think is socially responsible, and that is recording today, so that people in the future can look back and see very good shots of people and buildings out there in the city and think, wow, wasn't that different? Anyway, there it is for today. That was my first little video. I hope it's not too long. That's what I'm trying to think of, is don't be too long. Any questions or comments, please put them down below. And if you like the channel, please subscribe, because from now on I'll be doing a lot more videos. Okay, Roger Wilco. See you again some point in the future. Bye.